Support for Blues Lawyer Confessional is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Go to manscaped.com and use the code BluesLawyer to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Now here's the Blues Lawyer, Matt Esquire.
Hey, it's me, Matt Esquire, and wanted to talk to you about yet another Gibson lawsuit. By now, we know about the Gibson versus Dean litigation, which is still ongoing, pending appeal, as well as the Gibson versus Heritage lawsuit, which just wrapped up, and finally, those companies can move on. But there was another lawsuit that came and went in the blink of an eye, and very few people reported on it. And that is Gibson versus Rock and Roll Relics out of California. Now, if you don't know Rock and Roll Relics, they're a boutique builder out of California who've been around for a while. They make some absolutely beautiful instruments. In fact, their instruments are so well known that they've found their way into the hands of any number of guitarists, including no less than Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day, who, it should be noted, has his own signature Gibson Les Paul. Here's where things get interesting. Les Pauls. Gibson's bread and butter is the Les Paul. It is a registered trademark. It's very well known to be a registered trademark. It's one of those guitars that you just really shouldn't copy unless you're looking to get sued by Gibson. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should. I'm not attaching any moral value to it. Good, bad, whatever. But if you copy a Les Paul, don't be surprised if Gibson sues you. Case in point, Rock and Roll Relics. They had a model up until last year called the HEARTBREAKER. Now, the HEARTBREAKER gets its name from Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin, modeled after the 1959 Les Paul standard, right down to the fact that it had a set of pickups in it called a 59 Bucker, as in 1959 humbucker. They sold this, and in fact, you can go on Reverb, and you can still buy them used, and in fact, I think you can still buy them brand new from various shops. However, they got the attention of Gibson, and on December 1st, 2022, Gibson filed a lawsuit against Rock and Roll Relics for Lanham Act violation, specifically saying Rock and Roll Relics' HEARTBREAKER model was essentially a counterfeit version of the Les Paul standard. The complaint technically goes on for about 26 pages. Most of those pages, as usual, is basically a picture book where they point to various magazine covers saying, look at just how iconic the Les Paul is. It's a lot of posturing. All you got to know is that it's just, I think, probably their pro forma complaint at this point. This is our guitar. Here's what it looks like. This company, they're putting out a guitar which looks almost exactly like our guitar. And because of this, it's violating the Lanham Act. It is diluting our brand being Gibson, and it's causing confusion in the marketplace. This complaint sought, among other things, $2 million per violation. That's not chump change.
Oh, hey there. Support for Blues Lawyer Confessional is brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's below-the-waist grooming. I just got my Performance Package 4.0. Let's check it out. Inside the package is the Lawnmower 4.0. It's the latest in lawnmower technology. Small hedges make the house look bigger. Includes a flashlight, which helps you find your way. The unsung hero of the Performance Package 4.0 is this shed. Holds all your stuff where you need it, when you need it. Perfect for travel and at home. So less fiddling and go to manscaped.com. Use the code BluesLawyer to get 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Go do it now. Manscaped.com, Blues Lawyer, 20% off, free shipping.
$2 million per violation. Obviously, they're not going to be getting it. Here's the thing. Within 2 months of Gibson filing the lawsuit, that case settled. And in fact, if you go to Rock and Roll Relics website now, what you won't find is the HEARTBREAKER. Now, on January 18th, just a couple of weeks ago, Gibson did what's called discontinuing with prejudice. With prejudice means it's completely done. It's in the rear view mirror. And the reason to do that is because you've settled the case. We don't know the terms of the settlement, just like we don't know the terms of the settlement in the Heritage case. But what we can see is that Rock and Roll Relics is not selling that HEARTBREAKER anymore. It's completely gone from the website. What did this cost Gibson? It cost Gibson $402 for filing the lawsuit, and it probably cost Gibson maybe a few $1,000s in their attorney's fees. Honestly, it probably cost less than the cost of a new greenie. What did it cost Rock and Roll Relics? Number one, their attorney's fees. Number two, they can't be making this Heartbreaker anymore. It doesn't look like they licensed this in any way, shape, or form. Gibson, I don't think, does license it, and if they had licensed it, it would then say something like licensed by Gibson. As previously stated, Gibson is not like Fender in that regard. They don't license their shapes. They're certainly not going to license the 59 Les Paul. Rock and Roll Relics, I'm sure, was able to sell some of their Heartbreakers. Good for them. Like I said, they are beautiful instruments. However, it put them on Gibson's radar. Gibson's radar is very sensitive. We've seen that with Jericho. We can see that here. If you put out a guitar shape that is substantially like one of the ones that Gibson has trademarked, and for which Gibson maintains that trademark, namely the Les Paul, the Explorer, the SG, the 335, 355 series, any of those, Gibson will come after you. So please, unless you're looking to get sued, don't copy a Gibson design. It's not worth it. They will come after you, they'll sue you for Lanham, you will lose. Ultimately, you're going to have to stop selling your guitar. It's not worth it. Gibson does not mess around. Until next time, less fiddling, more playing.